Meeting to order at 6 o'clock, showing all board members present except Jeff Martin. And we will start with invocation and pledge of allegiance. And we're going to have our Everett students today to do the pledge. And then we have Danny Moody from East Paris Baptist Church who will do the invocation for us.
Okay, so we have 4 students from Everett that are going to lead us in the pledges today. We have Raphael, we have Joey, we have Jet, and we have Culture. Okay? So we're going to learn that. Okay, here, Raphael. This is right here. And pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
And Mr. Moody, if you'll do our invocation, please. Thank you.
So, Father in heaven, we want to thank you, first of all, for your goodness and grace that you just so pour out on us bountifully every day. Thank you for help and strength. And, dear Lord, I want to thank you for North Martin School District. Thank you, dear Lord, for the impact that it has had on my life and thousands of others that have been impacted in the past or being impacted right now, and those that will be impacted in the future. Lord, I pray your blessings upon the administrators, faculty, staff, and the students. Dear Lord, I pray you just be glorified through the educational process that it provides. Now, Lord, I pray for this board tonight. I pray, oh God, that you just give wisdom and discernment in the decisions that they make. You have said if anyone lacks wisdom, we can ask of you. And so, Father, tonight, we just pray for a special divine anointing and unction upon this board as they take care of the business of the school district. Now, Lord, we pray that you'd be glorified, and we pray your richest blessings upon those that will be involved tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we'll move on to item number 3, public testimony. No one signed up for public testimony? Okay. So we'll move on to consent agenda. Ms. Darrow, we're going to move on to consent agenda.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on consent agenda?
Everybody's had a chance to look over it. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, motion made by Red, seconded by Christie. Okay, we'll move on to action number 5. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Sorry. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. So sorry. Okay, now we'll move on to action, item number 5, action discussion items. A, discussion only, maintenance and update. Mr. Landis?
Take this off. All right, unfortunately, we've had a little bit of bad luck during winter storm. Okay? The 2 worst, I guess, was Stone Band Hall and the main building at Stone. We put in a hallway and the main office, counselor's office. We had one at Bailey and one at Everett. Stone is pretty much going to be brand new when we get through with it, or when the contractor gets through with it. All the carpet's been tore out, all the tile, sheetrock bathrooms, the insurance company, they wouldn't pass the bathrooms, so we had to tear them out. That's going to be all new. We went there, started back with the sheetrock. Exxon Plumbing took care of the leaks. They put a lot of plumbing back in the wall, repaired some that we found after we turned the water back on. So there's going to be 1 or 2 items that are not new, but we're going to try to squeeze that in somehow or another, working with the insurance company. But as it stands now, it's all new carpet, all new throughout the whole building. The bathrooms will be totally new. I know it's bad, but on the same sense, we got $25,000 deductible on our insurance, so you're practically gonna get a new building for $25,000 on the inside. They were texturing today. Carpet will be going back in the main area Thursday. The tile will start Saturday. We're looking at another week and a half out trying to get back in the main part of the building. That's not including the bathrooms. We're looking at the middle of April on the bathrooms. The insurance play overtime on Saturdays, but not Sundays. So, we have to deal with them on a daily basis. The main part of the building, which is a office and the two classrooms, two science classrooms, 18 and 16. We've got them back in those two classrooms. We got new carpet, sheet rock from 2 foot up, new paint. We had to do some work in Mr. Sanders' room where the water leak occurred. We had to tear out some stuff. We're going to put back some new tile, that kind of thing. The main office is getting new carpet. Counselor's office, and there's some stuff in the hallway we got to do. Bailey Gym, we had a leak at the back. Some water got underneath the gym floor, and the gym floor is buckled on the north side. I've talked to the insurance adjuster. They don't want to repair it. They want to replace it. Problem is, we don't know if we're going to be in that building. So we've come up with an idea to get the floor back down. And I guess that's something that Ms. Stewart will have to talk to y'all about the gym floor. But I'm not even going to start on that till I get a chance to sit down with Ms. Stewart and talk to her about it. She knows about it, but I ain't got the first price on it yet. I mean, depending on the bond election and what we do there, we may be, we may not have to replace the floor. I don't know yet, but that's where we're at. And then as far as the Everett goes, we got a leak behind the dish machine. The repairs are going to be done then at spring break. We can't shut the kitchen down until spring break. And that's about all we have as far as the storm goes. They're working hard. They'll work, 6 days a week until we get the kids back in. But we're hoping by Friday we can have them in the main part of the gym area. The stone manhole, not in the choir area. The stage is going to get a new floor on top of it. It buckled the floor on top of the stage. All that's going to be new. It's cement floor, a cement stage now, but it's going to be a rubber based. It just looks like wood floor. Any questions?
Like when you're talking about the stone building, what building are we actually talking about? The
band hall, it's the fine arts building, I'm sorry.
The fine arts
Yes,
building,
ma'am.
okay. So that's the one where all the water was and the offices are and the,
Yeah.
okay.
We had 3 inches of water in that
Okay,
particular building.
okay,
We had
okay.
another one
Okay,
after things started thawing in the main part of the building, which one of our board members was there actually shoveling water out of the building. Both.
Yeah.
And his son and Mr. Watson, and we had a lot of help. Then we, Smallwood Construction come in and help too. But that main hallway back towards Mr. Sanders' room, if y'all familiar where that's at, all the way to the main office, and then the main office flooded on A hallway.
so in the A building, we had all this damage too? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I knew whenever you said the offices and Mr. Sanders,
Well, I'm
that's
sorry,
that, yeah,
I
that's
said-
that hallway,
But,
yeah.
that's gonna get new carpet. We can't do it till spring break because we don't want to upset
Okay.
the girls and the office running and stuff like that. But the 2 classrooms that were mainly affected by that they're back in them.
16 and 14,
16, 18.
okay.
16,
18,
18. Right.
okay, yeah, yes, yeah. So that whole hall down that way and the offices, that's all, what about the hallway on the east side? None of that was brought.
It's kind of went up here, or down
Okay.
here towards, A hall and turned back, went towards the office
The
and went
west
through
side.
that area. It didn't go up the other end.
Okay.
And it was 3
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was pretty deep in water. Like I say, we had plenty of help. Mr. Watson, Bo, and his kid, Smallwood Construction, and those people come in and helped us late that afternoon. I happened to be out of town trying to get calves out of the county road, so Mr. Watson went in and covered for me until I got there, but it was a nightmare, but with all the help and everybody at that campus. And
So those science rooms down that hall, had they been carpeted?
yes, ma'am, they were carpeted when the flood happened.
Okay.
I guess back when Miss...
Yes, years ago when I was the principal there, we had a leak in the science labs, and they had to jackhammer the slab to fix the leak and then pour concrete back on top, and that's when we went over it with carpet because the foundation was no longer smooth.
So was it just that room, or are all those rooms
No,
carpeted?
there's just 2 science labs that it affected.
That are carpeted.
And the rest of them are tile.
Are tiles.
They had a sheetrock wall down the middle. I guess that used to be one big room. I think Mr. Watson said it used to be the library, maybe, or something back a long time ago.
Big science room, yeah.
It had a
Chemistry.
wall.
That was a chemistry lab, yeah.
Well, the wall that was in the middle that was put up after the fact was sheetrock. And most of the reason the sheetrock was we had to cut it up was because it was 3 layers deep. And the insurance company said there's no way we're ever going to dry it out. So that's the reason that in the Fine Arts building, in the main building, that they had to take the sheetrock 2 foot up so that we could get it dried out. And then we had Serpro in the Fine Arts building trying to dry all that out. But when the adjuster come down, they check it for moisture readings, and they wouldn't let us leave the bathrooms. They wanted us to tear them out. So,
And the B building was all okay?
Yes, ma'am. The one I thought we'd have leaks at was at Parker, and we didn't have a leak one. That's amazing.
Good.
I can't
Good.
believe it, but we did. So, I was grateful. But anyway, it's all going good. Ms. Stewart's been involved from day one, so is Mr. Watson. It's going to look nice when they get through.
Good.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Okay, and item B, discussion only, attendance and enrollment. Mr. Watson?
Should have had the enrollment in your board book. Our actual student numbers in Higgins on March the 3rd was 309.5 students, Everett 259, Parker was at 221, Bailey at 304, Stone at 544, and the high school at 693. And so it decreased about 2.5 students from the month before. If you look at our ADA numbers, Higgins was at 291, Everett 259, Parker 198, Bailey 304, Stone 544, and high school at 693. So we were down 2 students overall. Remember that our ADA through March the 3rd was 2,172.1, which was at 94.43%. Again, Melissa budgeted for 2233.7, and so this is about 62 less students than budgeted. Normally you'd start panicking a bit because that starts adding up really quick. We talked about hold harmless, and we knew we had hold harmless through the first 6 weeks, but we've been waiting on the commissioner to make a decision. Late Thursday afternoon, they finally made a decision and decided that they were going to extend the hold harmless through the end of the year with some provisions. Your in-person learning at your schools had to have an attendance of at least 80% or higher. The first semester, or at snapshot in October, we were at 87%. And so we should be fine and get our funds. That, just to tell you how crucial that is, that one decision, if they would have went the other way, would have cost us about $200,000. And so that would have been money that we had budgeted for that we did no longer get. But by making this decision, we're actually using that 2262 that they gave us for hold harmless, which was 29 more students than she budgeted. And so that results in about $90,000 extra dollars of income. So we went from going to lose $200,000 to gaining 90. So that decision was a big plus for us. So I just want to share that good information with you, that good news with you. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, item C, consideration and approval, E-rate funding. Ms. Parsons?
22 school year E-rate is due for 471. Before this one is board approval for y'all to fund 20% out of 100 for internet English. You just need it in the budget to make sure you're going to fund it. We've done it for years. It's just a formality. We have to jump the hoop. We have to have the board minutes so that we can tell them that we've got board approval that whatever our 20% is funded. We can't live without internet infrastructure.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Red and seconded by Sheila. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Any other questions? Probably a lot.
Thank you. Okay, and then item D, consideration and approval, resolution regarding employee pay during winter storm. Ms. Stewart.
Okay, if you will look at the resolution that is in your board book on the second page, it explains the reasons as to why we need this resolution. After visiting with our school attorney, he recommended that we have a resolution in place for auditing purposes, and this is for the days where the district was closed down for the emergency weather. And so what we need is this resolution in place, and this is retroactive, to pay our employees for the days that they were at home on the bad weather days. This will also take care of paying the employees that came in to work. We had several custodians that came up and helped over the weekend to help get Stone ready for school on Monday. So we'll need a motion to approve this resolution.
I so move.
Motion made by Sheila, seconded by Bo. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, and then item E, consideration, we just did that. No, we didn't. I'm sorry. E, consideration and approval missed school day waiver for February 17th through 19th and a waiver for remote instruction on February 16th. Ms. Stewart.
Okay, there are two waivers that we're going to apply for that particular week that we were out for the bad weather. The first waiver is considered an other waiver, and that waiver will cover the very first day that we missed, and that was the day that we did the remote instruction. Our attendance percentage for that day was 90.53, and as Mr. Watson stated earlier, normally our average is 94%, so we didn't see too much of a drop there, so we're going to apply for the other waiver for remote instruction for Tuesday. And then the second waiver that we will apply for is the missed school day waiver, and that will cover us Wednesday through Friday, which was February 17th through 19th. However, I'm not allowed to apply for the waivers online until I have board approval to do so. So we will need a motion to approve those two waivers.
Motion made by Joel, seconded by Bo. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. Okay, and then item F, consideration and possible action regarding COVID guidelines. Ms. Stewart.
Okay, so if you will turn to the public health guidelines that I put in your board book and flip to page 7 regarding the health and hygiene practices around masks. This is the documentation that TEA released regarding masks in school. And as you can see, it says schools must comply with the following requirements, and it gives details about every student, teacher, or staff member shall wear a mask over the nose and mouth when inside a school building, school facility, facility used for school activities, or when in an outdoor space on school property or used for school activities, wherever it is not feasible to maintain 6 feet of social distancing from another person not in the same household. And then when you flip to the next page, it gives an exception, and it just says, the governing board of a school system may modify or eliminate by formal action the above mask-related requirements. So I put this on the agenda tonight because I felt like it was extremely important for us to discuss that. This is a very sensitive issue for a lot of people. There are some that I have talked to that are for leaving the mask requirement in place, and there are some that I have talked to that are not for leaving the mask requirement in place. I did visit with our administrators, and I've got 4 campus administrators that would like for that to become recommended, not required, and I've got 2 campus administrators that would like for it to stay the way that it is. So I just really wanted to go around the room tonight and let each board member speak about this particular topic. The way that it was presented by TEA, If the board wants to leave the mask mandate in place and just leave all of our guidelines like they currently stand, it does not require a vote. However, if the board chooses to make that change and it not be mandated, then it does require a board vote. So, Mr. Sanders, could we start with you and let's just go around and let everybody give their opinion?
Just opinion on, well, my opinion is, if you want to wear a mask, it's fine to wear one, but at this point, I don't think there's any reason to have to wear one or be mandated to wear one if the state says that it's okay to not. But if they want to wear them, that's fine. I mean, but as far as just having to wear them, I don't think you, that's just my opinion.
Same with me. I don't think they have to wear them. They can wear them if they want to, but not required.
I've been staying up on this issue, and my opinion is we had to start school off wearing masks after last year. I wish the governor had waited until after spring break, but I feel like we're almost home. If we can just hold our course the way we're doing right now with masks, I know it's pain, but every one of us has lost friends with this COVID. We want to keep our teachers and our students safe, and that's what we practice. That's what we got our law enforcement officers out here and trained in CPR and everything. We try to keep them safe as we can. So why pull the plug right here? School's fixing to be over with. Have a great summer and start 21-22 school year off with no mask and none of this stuff. That's my opinion.
I guess my concern is when we started out at the beginning of the year and we started quarantining people and the football team got penalized with players, the softball or the volleyball team got, of course I'm thinking secondary here too, that my fear is I don't want these seniors or these older kids to miss out on their activities like prom or graduation or even their parties that they have, as seniors, get-togethers. And I guess it worries me that if we do start getting students with COVID and we start having to quarantining, who's going to end up being punished by it? So I'm at the border. I mean, I'm kind of borderline. I have a big concern for the kids, themselves, especially the ones in activities and events. And then, again, I think the little ones in elementary, I don't think they're at risk of that happening with them as maybe the older ones missing out on some great and important events. And so I don't know. I mean, I would like to hear from Mr. Keith how he feels about at the high school with the activities that the kids there might miss. And then even with the elementary principals, how do they feel about their children? And what's going on now? Can we maintain what we're doing now without someone saying, well, I don't have to wear a mask, because I don't have to wear a mask? Or do you think we can hold our ground and say, yeah, you're required to wear a mask and we're all going to keep doing what we're doing? So, I mean, I'm for whoever's in the trenches with kids.
Well, and I come from this from a different perspective, of course, being doing what I do. In my profession, I see COVID every day, and it's for the most part the kids do well, but I've seen the kid that does not do well, and it's not good. And obviously that is my biggest concern, is I want to keep the kids safe, and we now have 5 new strains of COVID in Houston, which I'm also upset that the governor came out with that at this point when we are so close to the end. But your CDC, your American Academy of Pediatrics, your local pediatricians, your Texas Pediatric Society, they all recommend that we continue to wear masks. And I know it's a pain. I wear it all day, every day. I don't like it, but at the same time, it's not even for our own safety, it's for the safety of others. And I just cannot in good conscience say I'm ready for them to be off. And I had a nephew that was a senior last year, and if he could have put a mask on and had his season, or the one-act play could have gone to state, or the power lifter's gone to state, or I'm sure the majority of those kids would have put a mask on just to be able to finish their seasons and have their time as seniors. So, and I agree, I don't know, quarantine is not going away. The CDC has not lifted that. You're still going to have kids quarantining, and so even if a kid wears a mask, but you've got 6 other kids in that classroom that don't, and one gets it, is your kid with the mask going to have to be quarantined? And I don't know. I've reached out to the health department and they can't tell me, so I don't know. So that's kind of my opinion, and I will respect whatever the board decides, but that is just, you know, my stance, and being in the medical field, that's just where I stand on that. It's your turn.
My thoughts on it is it's a double-edged sword. There's no right or there's no wrong answer. No matter which way we go, we're not going to make everybody happy. Either the parents are going to be upset or the kids are going to be really upset. I could go either way because we're in season for different sports, and if we end up getting more COVID patients or more COVID cases, then the kids are going to have to be quarantined again, and are we going to go back to square one, which is a concern, but I'm also a big proponent of choice. How are you going to tell these kids they have to wear a mask when the governor says they don't? Like, my kid's 17, she listened to the press release, you know, and she's going to be, why am I have to wear a mask when the governor says we don't have to? It's putting a lot of pressure on these teachers and these staff that he should have just made the choice instead of throwing it back on the schools and the school system to make this choice on behalf of the district. With all that being said, I think that if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I know I've talked to my kids about it, and in certain classes, they are going to wear masks just because they feel like they need to. It depends on who they're going to be around. You know, if they're around some elderly people, my kids will wear a mask. And they choose to do that themselves because we've talked about it. But what do you do about the people who the vaccines are, they're throwing them away because we can't give them away. They can't get people to come get them. But there's several of our employees, I'm sure, that have had the vaccine. There's several of our kids who have the antibodies that they can't get it and they can't get it. And so I think there's a lot of different factors that come into play, but I'm kind of leaning with quite a few of them that it's their choice. If they want to wear one, wear one. If you don't, don't. It's a double-edged sword. There's no right or wrong.
I would add one thing to that. The only reason that I say that myself is because, we are getting a lot of people vaccinated. And a lot of things, with all the people that are getting vaccinated, this thing should be really turning around. Hopefully
Well, we're fixing to vaccinate, or able to vaccinate the entire
Yes, that's taking place on Wednesday.
That'll help a lot too.
Yeah, I just
still
talk
less
for a
than
minute
10%
and then we'll
population.
turn it over to the principals.
You can't punish the kids.
Okay, so the questions that are coming in to me from some of the staff members are, why are we required to wear a mask if we've been vaccinated? There are some that do not feel like they should have to wear a mask if they were responsible and wanted to get the vaccine and they went and took it. I've had several parents say that they feel like it should be a choice as to whether or not their child wears a mask. Then on the flip side, I've had some staff members that are concerned, especially at the high school level, about, our kids did very well in the one-act play competition and they're moving forward and they're worried about, what happens if I have a student sitting in a classroom that's in the one-act play and they don't have a mask on and somebody sitting beside them tests positive and they have to be quarantined, then they could miss out on their competition. Same thing goes for, soccer, baseball, softball. They're all in the same boat when it comes to that. So, I've read a lot of documentation all day long on, different districts, and some have gone to, keeping the mask till after spring break. Some are keeping them on the rest of the year. Some are doing away with it altogether. It is extremely unfortunate, in my opinion, that this has been put on the school board to make the decision. I wish the state would have made the decision for us. And honestly, I wish that they had not even come out and, made this change effective March 10th, because we've been doing very well with all of our COVID protocols that are in place. I feel like our quarantine numbers are probably lower now than they've been in a while. But unfortunately, I feel like we have to make the decision tonight because March 10th is around the corner. So with that being said, let's start with elementary principals. Kristen, we'll start with you. If each one of you would stand up and share what you're hearing from some of your staff members and parents, and then we'll go around the room.
On my campus, it's a mixture. You have some, because most of my students don't wear masks. It's just going to be my 4th grade class. They're required to. We do have some younger students that have to due to medical reasons, for whatever reason they have to wear masks or choose to. But for the most part, my students do not. It's the staff that have to wear masks. You have some, it's very few, that want the mask, that say we must keep the mask. And there are ones that would wear it even if it was recommended, they're going to do that. And then you have the majority that are ready to not wear the mask, because on the elementary campus, it's so important for the children to see your face. It's really hard to teach a kid how to read when they can't see your face. And it's very frustrating to some of the staff. But like several of you have said, it's a double-edged sword. There's no right or wrong. You're going to have some people that are against it, some that are for it for their own reasons, and there's no right or wrong to that.
Okay, Ms. Malone?
So I'm in the same boat with Kristen. My students are young. The majority of them do not wear masks. But my staff wears their mask. But it's very difficult to teach a child to read, how to make the letter sounds correctly when you have a mask on your face. I feel the staff is torn. They want to wear the mask for safety reasons because, you know, like today I had to send a whole class home. It's a double-edged sword. I don't think there is a right or a wrong answer. I think that whatever choice we make is going to have repercussions either way. As far as the kids, they're fine. I have students that wear masks all day. Not many, but a few. But the staff, I think we're in the same boat as everybody else. Some of them want to wear the mask, some of them don't. And I think if we make the decision for them to take the mask off, some of them still will wear the mask. So it's a hard decision.
Ms. Compton?
So we're a little different. Mine's a 4th and 5th grade campus, so they're all required to wear masks. And we don't have any discipline problems with that. They all adhere to that. We don't have any parents that have said anything. I haven't talked to all of them, but a lot of them have said, since we've been so successful starting out the year, they just wish that we could finish the year like it is. I do have one teacher that's due in May. She's pregnant, and she's a classroom teacher, so she is concerned if what it would do to her if there was kids in the classroom with no mask. So she's concerned. We have not had to quarantine any classes this year at all, like the other campuses. And I know we've been very lucky on that. We have had positive cases, staff and students, but we haven't had to quarantine. And I think that's a fear of some of the teachers, or if we take the mask away, we're going to have to start going home, our whole classes. And I know it's a hardship on parents that have to do that. I know that, and they've asked me if that's going to be lifted. If we take the mask away, can we also take the quarantine away? And I said, not that I know of. So I think there's a lot of them tired of wearing them, but we've just been so successful. We hate to stop now, but like all the other campuses, I've got some that don't want to wear them, and I've got some that said I'm going to wear them regardless. So that was kind of majority. That's what I've heard.
Ms. Sanders?
Well, on Everett, we're probably maybe the most shut down campus of all of them. We've allowed nobody to come on campus all year. And talking today, it seems that we feel like if we can keep us shut down, every bit of business we take care of at the door. So our teachers they're like them. I watch them all day long. They're pulling those masks down all day. So we're kind of like, we feel like we're pretty much exposed anyway with each other because we have to teach these kids to read. So if we can keep the campuses shut down, keep our distance, but let the teachers teach, because we too are not, the students don't have to, and some do and some don't. But the teachers, so many of them have already had their vaccine, and they keep asking me, why are we still wearing this if we've been vaccinated? And you guys, it's hard, and so we all feel different, but it is hard on us when the governor says something, and then we have to come in and say, I don't care what the governor says, you have to wear that. That is hard on us as principals to enforce that. Probably maybe more with the older kids, you're going to fight that with those middle school and high school kids, because why do they have to wear it if the governor says they don't? So I would like to see us stay distance, shut down the buildings, but give it a try. If we find out in 30 days the numbers are going up, all we have to do is make them wear masks again. But let's, people have been vaccinated, let's just give the students and people a chance to choose and see what happens.
Ms. Hudson?
I agree with Ms. Sanders at this point too, as well as just giving the staff and the students that want to wear them a choice. It's become more of a battle to try to get all the students to wear masks because they're not wearing them correctly to provide any protection. So that's kind of when I visited with my staff today, they were very much on the fence, but the majority of the teachers and staff want it to be an option because again, they're tired of just every day wasting instructional minutes telling the students to put the face mask back on and have them on correctly. So for it to be valuable, and they're taking time out of their day, and we're repeatedly just fighting that battle all day long. And so I can't imagine with the change that's coming and with the governor, taking this off, and these students know that they don't, have to wear them outside of the school. So it's going to become, I fear, even more of a battle than it already is. And it's been challenging to get the students to wear them correctly, to get parents that come into the building to wear them, and that not turn into a battle. And even some teachers now that are vaccinated will have antibodies. I see that a little bit more, and that's a concern for me, because if it was my choice, I would want everybody to wear them. I wear mine everywhere I go. But right now, that's not the sentiment, and I don't know that it's worth the battle. We want to get back to teaching. So mine would be making a choice and making it optional for the ones that want to wear it.
I have some concerns about it, and a lot of it echoes like what you're just talking about, Mr. Doctor. All these reasons are completely correct. It's a double-edged sword. There's no right or wrong situation in this. Once the governor of the state of Texas decides to say what he did, then it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. It's going to be very difficult to continue to enforce that on the kids, especially at the high school. They have their planted opinions, and they're starting to formulate what it's like to be a young adult and things of that nature. The concerns that also that I have, though, is we have some older teachers, some that are battling cancers, and some that are elderly that have chosen not to remain in North Lamar because they don't want to have to go through the medical issues that they've had to go through this year, having to wear these, and the fear factor, obviously. Another big concern is, like what the doctor was saying, having those students who are involved in a variety of things, right in the middle of soccer season, baseball season, softball, the fine arts, like Stuart said, when I play is just advanced to the next level. So all it takes, is one kid in a class of students who do not have a mask on to wipe out a season for someone. So I think the concern of some of the teachers is a valid one. But I sure would hate for someone, say for the prom examples coming up on April 10th, and I would hate for someone to be in a classroom on April 9th and something like that happen, and the money that was spent and the time and dresses or tuxedos and things like that, that now is gone. I think that those individuals that, talking about choice, I think those students who are involved in these activities, I would like to think that they would be responsible enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to take any chances, and so as long as I'm doing this, I'll do that. At the high school, you would have kids that would do that. And there will be a large population that's just like, throw caution to the wind and be done. Because these protocols that we put in place have been so effective. But I think those individuals that are involved in these activities right now, they're going to probably continue to wear those. And that's just my conversations with their sponsors or their coaches, things like that. And those sponsors and coaches are also saying, you know what, let's not take any chances, and they have a relationship with those kiddos that's going to say, you're going to wear those things in the classroom because, you know, we have a good thing going and we don't want to put that in jeopardy. So, but I think no one likes wearing these. I sure don't. If I could have a bonfire, I would do it. But I cannot negate the fact that some of the concerns that the adults have with some serious medical issues, I can't push that to the side. So.
But you know, these kids aren't wearing these masks outside of school. They're going and partying and going to the movies and they're going and doing all these things. And they're not wearing masks, and then they're coming to school and wearing masks, so.
But the issue is going to be when you have a kid wearing a mask next to a kid that's not wearing a mask, and that kid gets it, and they can't guarantee that the one that has a mask is not going to get quarantined. That's what I'm worried about.
I get that.
And it's different when they're outside.
No, but what I'm saying is they're being exposed to it. No, obviously they're not getting it at school. They're getting it outside of school. But so they're.
Mr. Watson was wanting to speak since he's been over the COVID
I'm
guidelines.
assistant superintendent over COVID. As most of y'all know, my first and utmost thinking from day one was the safety of our students and staff. I mean, you know, if parents or students are complaining about us making wear masks, we can get over that. But as Red said, you know, we've all known people that have passed from this. It's hard to get over. I mean, you know, so I've always preached safety first. But that being said, you know, if you make it a choice, you know, how effective for those that, you know, right now we know from the guidelines and the practices that we've done, if both people have a mask, the risk of catching it is minimal, and they do not have to quarantine. If you take away one of those layers and one person has a mask and the other one does not, there's not a lot of data out there that says how safe that is. So we're just, like Mark said, kind of take a stab in the dark there and hope for the best. If you do that and say it's your choice, and a large number of kids especially decide not to wear them. In the elementaries, as Ms. Sanders said, you have pods. Ms. Malone was talking about they sent a whole class home. Well, they had somebody positive at one class, and that class was confined. So you're sending 18, 20 kids home. If a high school kid or junior high catches COVID, and they go to 8 different classes, and so every class that kid was in, and every kid that does not have a mask, if they do not have a mask and that other kid does not have a mask, they're at a very high risk. And so you could quarantine over 100 people, students, just like that with one case. If that's the case, how many parents are going to be griping about quarantining? I'm telling you, because I got the calls early in the year. It's pretty significant when the kids have to go home for 10 days. And it may be during that time when that clay is going to maybe state, or maybe baseball or softball. We got two good teams. They could go far, and they could keep them from possibly going. So there's a lot of risk factors there, and it's a tough decision. Y'all have a tough decision, unfortunately, put on your hands. And I don't know. I've gone both ways. I think the ones that the big question is if you still wear a mask, how safe are you? If other people are not wearing masks, because there's not enough data out there to tell you whether you're going to catch it or not. So that's my 2 cents worth. And hopefully God bless you. God bless us all.
Alicia, this is like talking about getting vaccine. Vaccine does not keep you from getting it. You just don't get it as bad.
It does the mask.
That's right.
Well, the
So
kids are not vaccinated either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Faculty have.
And antibodies do not count.
No.
The health department does not count antibodies. So if you have antibodies but you get exposed, you still have to quarantine.
Now, could we like vote on what to do now and then see how everything goes after spring break, a month or 2 months, and maybe come first week in May and vote, change our policy again? Or, does this have to run through the whole school year?
No,
You
we
could put it back
change
on there next month.
could
So we
change it
could
if
do
your
it
numbers went
a
up.
month? Okay, that's, okay. So this is for right now.
Yes, I just feel like it would make me feel better if the decision was made tonight, since Wednesday is around the corner, because the staff and the parents and kids, they're stopping me everywhere wanting to know.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we leave it the same and review this at 1st of May.
Can I make one more comment? We talked about this the other day. We know of 2 other school districts going to make it recommended but not required. If you make it for students, and now I'm kind of offsetting what I just said, but this is the reality of it. If a student is dead determined not to wear a mask, and we're saying you are going to wear a mask if you go here, and somebody across the road is not, they can say, well, I'm tired of wearing masks, I'm checking out and going over there.
The governor said we can't punish nobody. So you're saying you're going to punish the kids after the governor said you cannot be punished for not wearing a mask. Now, he said that.
Well, it's not punishment, it's just
No,
providing safety.
that's not what I'm asking. I said, how are you going to tell them they're going to wear a mask, and the governor said you cannot be punished?
Yeah.
So you tell me how you're going to take care of that?
Well, you're not punishing, you're...
Well,
Yeah, he's just, I think what he's saying is like for the principals. If the board votes for everybody to wear a mask, and a kid refuses to wear it, then that puts your principals in a predicament.
Yeah. That's a good question.
I mean, the
That's
governor
what
says you
my
cannot
concern
punish
was
nobody
too.
for not wearing a mask.
Kelly, what's other schools around, what are like our local schools doing?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of them because everybody has their board meetings tonight, but we have talked to all the local superintendents, and I won't mention school districts, but I know there's one that was going to recommend that they continue to wear them, and there were 2 other superintendents that shared that they were going to say recommended, not required.
I think we're putting it in an impossible situation. We're putting it all on the staff to do every bit of this. We can make whatever decision we're going to make, but it's ultimately them that's going to get the brunt of it, and the administration is going to get yelled at by whoever, whether you're for it or you're against wearing them. It doesn't matter. It makes their job impossible. It's been a terrible year for them to have to police that and try to educate our kids. Yeah, instead of doing what we're here for, and because most elementary, if they wear them, they're up and down, up and down. I know mine's just as bad. She gets in trouble all the time for her nose is naked, is what, because she pulls it down. And, I know the staff is sick and tired of having to police these masks. When these kids are going to go out and go to work or go to a party, and never one of them got one on. They go to Walmart, they don't have one on, but they come to school and they wear one. And I get it. My kid was one of them that was quarantined the first day of school. The first day of school, and that was terrible.
Well,
But
another thing, I have trouble. I can't hear very well, and I can't. I didn't realize that I watch people's mouths, and I didn't
what
get
about
what you guys are saying. I can't.
What about our deaf ed department? They read people's lips.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I can't imagine what y'all go through. Mhm.
So basically, what this comes down to is, like Commissioner of Education said, you don't have to vote on it if you're going to leave your guidelines in place, but you do have to vote on it if you change your guidelines and, don't require the mask. That's what it boils down to.
Well, then, I'll make a motion that we do away with the mask for the time being, or make it recommended instead of required, and then revisit this again. I mean, we're coming back in a month, and let's see what the numbers say. And if we're quarantining people left and right, and our staff dropping like flies, then we need to rethink things. But I think at this point, we need to try it, because I don't know how we're going to police that. I mean...
So motion made by Christie, seconded by Bo. So all in favor for the recommendations? All those opposed?
Okay, so we have a
Split vote 3-3.
motion fails.
Motion fails.
So how do we police it? Answer that.
The way they've been policing it, I would assume. Mr.
You're
Keith,
18.
how is 17 and 18-year-olds, how do you feel about policing them? I mean, do you think it's going to create...
Okay, so we have to move on, Sheila.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I'm
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, can we put it in there that we will revisit this? When will our next meeting be? April the whatever? And
As we requested by two board members basically have to request it for the added to the agenda.
that we revisit this after a month, and then we'll see how it's going. But up till that time, we'll be.
Okay. So we will move on to item G, consideration and approval, seek proposals for depository services contract. Ms. Starro.
Okay, well, my decision is not going to be near as hard as that. So I'm going to start this presentation off with the word unfortunately, just like Rick did. We had gone through all of our 2-year extensions on bank contracts, and so it was time for us to go out for bid. And of course, nobody likes to go out for bid, especially when we're dealing with public funds. There are so many banks in town that really just don't want to deal with the restrictions of public funds. But I was able to call around and find 3 banks that were interested in getting a proposal. So I sent proposals out the 1st of February to Farmers Bank, the new bank in town, Guarantee Bank, who we're presently with, and also Liberty National. And somewhere along the way, I guess through the month, Liberty National decided not to do the proposal, so they did not return one. But the other 2 banks did return proposals. They both hand-delivered them on the day they were due. They were very thorough, and both of them were real professional. As you can see, I laid on your desk the criteria that I was looking for when I was going through the proposals, and then I've also laid the grading that I gave to each bank. I think on the very last page, I put the meat of the proposals in your board packet. I didn't put all the addendums and tabs, or you would still be reading them today. But the meat of them, I think on the very last pages were what I thought would be most important, and that was the cost of the services. Were there going to be any fees or anything? So I think if you want to move over to both of those pages, you'll see that both of them were really offering no fees. They were going to waive all the fees. Now, what Farmers was going to do is they were, of course, if we do move banks, we're going to have to get all new checks printed and all the deposit slips for all of our checking accounts. They were going to give us a $2,500 transition thing to get all of our checks and everything, but then that was it. Once that was over with, we were going to have to go and purchase our checks elsewhere, our deposit slips. Guarantee Bank offers that free. All I have to do now is email the branch manager, tell her our finance clearing account needs checks, and they're on their way. And I know y'all see the check register every month, but there are 200 to 300 checks that probably run through that finance clearing account on a monthly basis. So you start buying the checks for that, and it can get real costly. So as you can see, I thought that was really a very important thing, that Guarantee would give us those checks and deposit slips for free, but Farmers Bank would not. So I was going to give farmers a 15 on that and Guarantee a 19, because if you will also look, there were some fees that Guarantee was going to put on wire transfers. Now, at this present time, I do not do wire transfers, but if we get into this bond, there is a possibility that there would be some wires that would be necessary. So I did ding them just a little bit and gave them a 19 out of a 20. On the second criteria that I was looking for additional services that they would offer. What I was looking for here is, do they offer credit cards? Do they offer remote deposit? If we did get into another COVID, could I take the checks that I'm doing now and could I just sit at my desk and actually just put those deposits through without even going to the bank? I was looking for purchasing cards. I was looking for payroll cards. Now, for the purchasing and payroll, both proposals did not address either of those, but both proposals did say that they offer credit cards, and that is our current credit card provider is Guarantee. That's where we're using our credit cards right now. But Farmers also does that, and they offer the remote deposit free of charge. So I gave both of those a 10 on those, because I didn't see really anything different. For funds availability, I saw nothing when I was reading through there. Both for that, I noted that there were no significant differences in the times of the cutoff for the deposits or the disbursements. I feel most of our deposits that we get are from TEA, our large deposits, TEA and the appraisal district, and they're automatically just put into our account, ACH. There are no checks. We're not having to wait for a certain time. I mean, the funds are available immediately. And working with Guarantee, I've never had any trouble, with funds availability. And I don't think I would with Farmers either. So I gave them a 10 as well on that criteria. The next thing that I was looking at is their automated services. Of course, this day and time, everybody's got online services. I'm in Guarantee's online service every day, constantly transferring funds here, there, doing that. It's a very friendly, user-friendly service. I could not have any trouble with it. For the Farmers, they did in the tabs and all, they gave you a lot of screenshots of what it would be like if I were to move to Farmers. And then again, the online looked very user-friendly. And so I'm going to say that both of those would be able to serve the district well as far as automation is concerned. So I gave them both a 10 for that criteria. Again, what I was looking for on experience and ability of the banks, what I was looking for is what was their rating with that Bauer Financial, that's the rating system for banks. Both of them got a 5-star. I feel that both of them, in fact, I know both branch managers at both of the branches, and I feel I have a good rapport with both of them, and they all seem confident. They had some questions during the process. All of them were confident, experienced, and I feel I asked for references, and Farmers gave me a reference for Texarkana ISD and for Pleasant Grove ISD, and I know both of those business managers, and I emailed them and I asked them what their services were like, and they both said it's an amazing bank, that they have no problems. One, Derek Sibley, he said he's also got to go out for bank bid this year, and he just hates to even know that it's a possibility that he would have to change banks from Farmers. So again, I feel like both of those banks would serve us well, and I gave them a 10, both a 10 in that criteria as well. They were both officing that there's a thing called positive pay now, that they look at all of our disbursements as they're coming through, and if they see fraud or anything that they suspect to be fraud, they'll let us know about it with all of our checks. Like I said, we have 200 to 300 per month coming through the bank, and both of those offer that, and they offer it free of service. So I gave them a 10 on that. For the interest rate for our checking accounts, I did notice that Farmers has got something interesting that they're doing now, and it says that they offer a new collateral method, whereas all funds would be fully insured up to $100 million through an insured cash sweep program that eliminates the need for the district to monitor collateral requirements. At the present time with Guarantee, I am constantly pledging or releasing pledges as our bank accounts increase or decrease, and it's not a big deal. Both of them are good. But I do think that, if there were some kind of insured sweep or something, that would keep me from having to do all the releasing and pledging of the collateral that we have now. So I thought that was interesting. So I did give them a little bit higher in that area for interest rate offered. Both of the proposals said that as far as our CDs were concerned, that at the time of maturity, they would work with us. And so I'm looking at it either way now, maybe starting to put whatever which way we decide tonight, whatever which way. We could put some CDs in some of, one of the other banks, and that would kind of diversify us. So with that said, I gave interest rates for farmers at 20, and I gave guarantee at 18. So at the end of it all, it looks like that farmers got 95 out of 100, and guarantee got 97 out of 100 for the proposals. And really, the major deal was just supplying our checks and our deposit slips. It's just really the main difference. So I recommend, as my grandfather used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, we have a good rapport with guarantee. It is a major hassle to get all the checks changed over, and if there were a big difference in this, I would definitely say let's do it, and I'd go for it. But really, there's no difference, in the proposals, and I just recommend that we stay with Guarantee Bank. And I would need you to approve that. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, motion made by Joel, seconded by Bo. All those in favor?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to interest rates on our money, is there any difference here in like the rate?
One was looking at the 90-day T-bill, one was looking at the 13 T-bill. Actually, that was another thing, thank you for bringing that up. Farmers was going to offer 0.45 on our interest rates. Right now, Guarantee since December has been offering 0.36. And that was really the difference between, my 18 and my 20% here. That they were just going to offer us 0.45 regardless of T-bill or the 90-day or the 13-week. So they did offer just a little bit more on the interest rate. But this is just on the checking accounts, not our CDs. Like I said, they will be negotiable at the time.
Okay, so this difference in the interest is not
Just
on
for our checking
the big
accounts.
money
Not
account.
big money.
So the difference would not be huge.
That's correct.
As far as interest goes.
That's correct.
Wouldn't be worth buying checks and
I don't see it, no.
Yes, we have a motion by Joel, seconded by Bo. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
And one abstain. Okay, so motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item H, consideration and approval, appoint board member to serve on the Teacher of the Year Selection Committee for April 14th, 2021, Ms. Chadwick.
This is our annual opportunity to serve on the board for the committee for selecting Teacher of the Year. So we just need one board member to, anything y'all need to go through.
I'll volunteer.
Mr. Holmes has volunteered. Okay, so we just need a motion to approve.
I moved to.
Motion made by Sheila, seconded by Bo. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item 6, superintendent report, bond election information update.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you an update on our presentations for the upcoming bond election. On February 23rd, we presented to the Kiwanis Club. On March 10th, which is this Wednesday, we're having a media day here at the administration building at 8:30, and we've invited all of the media outlets here to come and join us for that presentation. March 22nd, I'll be presenting to Lamar Delta Retired Teacher and School Association. On March 25th, we'll be presenting to the Rotary. They're currently meeting at Tyler's Pizzeria. And on March 29th, there'll be a Pastor's Day at Providence Baptist at 4 p.m. Early voting is April 19th through April 27th. We're doing things a little bit different this year. For early voting, the hours will be 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. from April 19th to April 23rd and April 26th to April 27th. We're going to have weekend voting on Saturday, April 24th, and Sunday, April 25th, and that's from 1 to 4 p.m. For early voting, we'll have 4 locations: the Northmore ISD Administration Building, Aaron Parker Elementary, Direct Volunteer Fire Department, and the City Hall of Reno. And on Election Day, we'll have voting here at the Administration Building, which is Saturday, May 1st, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have 4 people running for 2 positions for the school board. They are as follows on the ballot: Clint Spencer, Justin Wyman, Jimmy Finley, and Teresa Bissell. Does anyone have any questions?
So, move on to item 7, executive session. So the board will now go into an executive session showing time at 7:05. Okay.